All right, just a second. Let me share my screen. So basically, we were talking about arrays last day, and couple of discussed the iteration over the array and what are the methods on array, like push, pop was there, shift and shift was there. Then we studied methods something like slice, splice is there. So these are some utility methods over the arrays, and like these are some important ones, so that we have to include. Moving on towards we will so okay, so we already started the object part, object in JavaScript, so that is something which we are going to start it again. And regarding that, so we discussed that JavaScript is a object oriented programming language. Now how objects are there, how objects are made, how do we deal with objects, and how do iteration and all those things will be covering in today's lecture. All right, let me just drop a message, and then I guess we can begin.
Sure.
Okay, let me open code and share my screen then. Seeing that what we covered yesterday is like arrays in JavaScript, then functions on arrays. Okay, iterating over the array. We discussed about the for each map, for in, for each and map difference. So we said that for each return type is undefined, so it just runs the function, does not return anything. Whereas map function is there, so map iterates over the element and returns a array if the function is returning something. So if the function is returning undefined, so it also returns undefined in an array. But the point is, the return type of map is an array of values. Like the function which we passed in for each and map function, we call that as a callback function. Although those are normal function, we give them a unique name. We call it a callback function. Now, callback functions are such like that we are not directly calling the function. We just pass the function, and JavaScript in hand calls the function as per the methods whatever is written. So that is what we call as a callback. So we are not calling it, it is indirectly called over the elements, maybe due to by the help of some methods or something else. But yeah, that is the case. Starting with objects in JavaScript, what we a bit started yesterday, like we said that JavaScript is a object oriented programming language. All right. So we said that JavaScript is an object-oriented programming language, kind of behaving like a hash map. Now the point is, hash map we have to exactly define. Okay, so character is mapped with character, or let's say string is mapped with a string, or something like that. But as we know, JavaScript there is runtime binding, means we do not need to specify the data type. Although there is a restriction on the key, values can be anything, and key should always be. We discussed this, guys.
Specified data type.
Unique. Yeah. So key should always be a string, right? And
Yeah, it should always be a specific string. Yeah,
yeah,
to which we assign a value.
yes. So keys are always a string, whereas value can be anything, and it can in hand be a object also. So that is what we call as nested object. All right, adding properties. So we saw the dot properties. Now dot property is not new. We already knew that dot property. For example, if we go to Java, so we whatever the data members and member functions are there. So when you say class of new okay, obj is equals to new obj, and you do obj dot a, obj dot b, or obj dot print method. So that is the dot operator. Square brackets, when we have keys which are bigger string with the spaces or something like, so we use a square bracket. And we talked about heap storage is a bigger chunk of area where the objects are exactly stored, and the stack is where the address is stored, address or the reference is stored. Okay, so here is your object. Okay, so that is the point. All right, adding to what we did yesterday. Okay, so let's just come to code. Just a second, guys. All right. So, similarly, array has two ways of initialization. Either you go with the array constructor. Now, when you say a constructor, you know that always you have to use a new keyword and you call it. Also, we have object constructor and the same thing. Whenever you call a constructor, you initialize the data members. Okay, so that is what the constructor is meant for. Although the point is, either you go with this way, either you go with this way. It's the same thing, and similar is happening for object also. So obj and obj2. So let's just open this in browser and let's talk about the methods we have over here. I'll be sharing my GitHub repository to you guys. So if you want to refer some code like my assignments or so, you can just refer to it. Okay. So I'll share my GitHub link to it. Okay.
Sure.
All right. Now obj being an object and obj2 being another object. Let's fill in with some property. So either you go with a dot operator, obj dot a is equals to something, obj dot b equals to something, or you do something like this. It's totally like others. Okay, so you can just say a colon 45 and let's say b, okay, not comma, b colon, you can say let's say true or something. Okay, similarly c, and c can be an object also. Okay, so the key should always be a string, whereas the values can be anything. So values can be another object with another property. You can say, let's say, name, and you can say car or something. Okay. Even we can have a function over here. So function. How do we have a function in object? Let's see. So we can write function, and this bracket is there. This bracket is there, and you can say console dot log, and you can say in an object. Having a close look whatever we have made. So we say that this is an object and a value is 45, b can be true, c is another object which is unnested object. Okay, again here's prototype. Okay, we'll discuss about it. Then finally d is a function and this is a function. Okay, function has something called as arguments. We have caller, we have length, we have name. We'll discuss what are these things. Okay, we can discuss it now also. Okay, so these, as it is related to function, we'll discuss it. We have something called as prototype and constructor. We will discuss maybe today or after dom once we are done. Okay, so we'll discuss that. Now this is a object, okay, with several properties, so we do not need to define what the values can be anything. The point is, as we have the as we access the properties, similarly we access the function also. Okay, so there is no other way to access it. Okay, so just the dot operator and we call the function. It makes us realize that when I say JavaScript is object oriented programming language and I say that a class contain data member and member function, so can we relate these things as data member and this one as a member function? What do you guys think?
Can you repeat the question again? What are we
Okay.
referring as data member here?
Okay. So when you say class, let's say example class car. Okay. Now that has a property. Let's say the name of car is something. Let's say Ferrari is there. Then max speed is there. Okay. Then maybe like average is there. Then you have function over there. So start function is there. Stop function is there. Play music function is there. So these are the things. So when you say class, so you have data member, the properties, and the functions, right?
Yeah, right.
So similarly, if I see this normal object, we have these as data members. Okay. If I
Yeah,
create a class car, then I have these as data members. I can store it name and something something, and function I can just store the make the functions, right?
yeah.
Okay. So this is what I was like trying to like make an analogy, right? All right. So this is what we have. Now, one thing is how to access the nested property. So similarly, like we have C as nested property, and we can again put a dot. So how many level of nesting is there? So the same number of dot operators we can use. Okay, so this is one thing. All right. So since we have seen this nested object, I just wanted to show you something. I want to create an object. Let's say const obj3 is equals to obj. Okay, so const obj3 is equals to obj, and if I say this obj3, so we have the all the properties over here. Okay, so this is a constant object. Now this is constant object. Can I do this? And I do this, not obj3 is constant, right? It is a
Yeah, obj3 is constant and you can't change things in that.
all right. Okay, so how many of you say it will throw an error, or how many say it will work?
It will throw an error, I guess.
Okay, any other opinion on this, guys? What do you guys think? So const, we studied that let and where can be changed, whereas const cannot be changed and cannot be reinitialized. Okay, that is the point. All
Yeah.
right. Okay, let's see. No errors. Okay, let's see the value of object 3. This is working, but there's something wrong with the, either there's something wrong with the definition or our interpretation is wrong. Why is this not throwing an error? How many of you know the answer over here? Okay, see this, guys. It will throw an error now. Why this is throwing error? Do you guys see that?
Oh, maybe you are changing a property that is available in object one or obj. So it's not literally changing the obj value. It's changing the obj3 value. It's changing the obj value. So obj
Yes,
is not a constant, right?
yes.
Obj3 is a constant. So I think that would
Okay,
be it.
so obj3 is dot a is already changed, and that is the same thing I'm changing over here. But your definition is correct, you are going correct. Here I'm changing the property. Okay, obj3 is in both the places, but here property is changed, not the constant object. Whereas I'm attempting to change the complete object here, which is a constant, and it will throw an error. Is the difference clear?
Okay, so the object is a constant here, not the values in the objects.
Yes, the properties
Okay,
are
I got
not
it.
in constant, right?
Thank you.
Okay, guys, clear with this one?
Yeah, clear.
Okay,
Yes.
so
Yes.
yep, this is one thing. Now, one more thing. If you just notice, how do we created object 3? We said obj3 equals to obj, right? See this. Now, if I say obj dot a, it is saying 56. I change the value of obj3, but that is same is reflecting in obj also. How is this possible? It means that
I think OBJ is referring to the address of OBJ.
yes, yes, it is not exactly address. We call it reference in JavaScript. But yeah, your point is
Yeah,
very correct. Yeah, so you are just correct. Like that is referring to the same thing. It's another name of obj. Okay, so that is what being done over here. So if you change one, the other will be changed. Okay. So what is the solution for this? The solution is cloning of object. How do we clone an object? That is the next thing we are going to learn. So there are three ways, mostly three ways we will see. So here we have clone objects. How do we clone objects? Let's see. Firstly, we'll go with a spread operator, then assign, and then parse and stringify. Okay, so let's start with spread operator. Remember the spread operator, rest operator and spread operator I talked about last time.
yeah, that's three dots.
Yes. So it's time we learn about them. So let obj4 is equals to, now whenever I say curly brace, I am like explicitly saying that let obj is equals to new object. It's just a short form, right? And when I put three dots over here and I say obj, it means that I want to spread the properties. Spread, why it is named spread? It is literally spreading the properties. For example, if I print obj, this is obj with A56 B true and so all in all. If I print obj4, so this is what obj4 is. They look similar, but there is a difference. There is a difference. The difference is if I say obj equals to 90, and if I print obj4, so we have a is 90, whereas obj a is still 56. So this is the first way how do we clone an object. Is it clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the first way to clone an object. Okay, there is a catch. The catch is if I say obj dot c dot name, and if I make it from car, I make it truck. What do you guys think? Is obj dot c dot name will change or not?
No, I don't
Doesn't.
think so.
Okay, it's same as the last question, same as the const question. We are cloning obj. Are we cloning obj dot c? Obj4.c is itself a object. Remember, it's not a normal data type. It's not a primitive data type. It's again an object. And we have just cloned obj. Did we clone obj4.c? Obj.c,
No.
right?
No, no.
It means that change will also reflect, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Are you guys getting this point?
Yeah.
Okay. So the same thing as the previous one, the same one over here, like pointing to the same object. Okay. It means that what is this cloning? Is it a deep cloning or shallow cloning?
Shallow cloning.
Yes, it is a shallow cloning. All right. Next method for cloning. So let obj5 equals to capital O object. So this is the object which is already present in over here. Object dot assign, right? Object dot assign. So assign is the assign is a method, and it asks for target and source. Target and source. So target any object. Okay. So if it is, if you can use already existing object, you can use it. Otherwise, use a new object. Curly braces means new object. Source, which source? So of obj. So I want all properties of obj, assigned it to this, and returned it to obj5. This means that this syntax mean that I want all the properties of obj in this curly braces, and this should be written. So this is what the definition is. You can see we have a spread operator, so we can have more than one sources. So target is only one, but sources can be many. But okay, let's keep it simple. Let's do it this way. So you can say obj.5 is this. Now we say obj5 dot a equals to 89, and you can see that obj dot a is still 56. So this is the other way to. So this was asked in interview. Luckily, I just read it before the interview. Okay. So yeah. So this is the second way to do it. Is it clear, guys?
yeah,
Okay. Now it brings us to the third one, which is very very important because it will be throughout our journey. We are going to learn something which is a concept and supported by all the languages out there. It is supported by Java. It is supported by PHP, Node.js, JavaScript. JavaScript is. So that is called as JSON. How many of you know about JSON?
yeah. I've heard about Json, and I think I've used that in a little project. It is something that brings data, right?
Yes, yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
So it is.
Usually,
Mhm.
it is the data is stored within that, and it goes and brings data. When a user requests a data, it goes to a server, and JSON file is bought, and browser usually converts the data and gives it in front of the user.
Yes, yes, very correct. So that is the good. That is one very good example of this. Okay, so it is shared between client and server. So whenever the request is made from the client to the server, so the data sharing is, so it is used for data sharing, and it is supported by all the languages. Okay, so that is one point. You can see that C, C++, Java, C Sharp, everything is over here. So okay, not going into detail. Just we need some parts from this one. So this one. So and how it is related to cloning. Okay, let's see. So I hope like this is something which like we do not use. Okay, so this is something like out of thing which we do not use exactly, but yeah, let's see. So there's a method. There's so JSON is already there in JavaScript, which is supported, and they share two method with us. They share two method with us. First method is stringify. Stringify. Now stringify. What stringify says? Pass a object inside me, and as the name suggests, it will convert anything into a string.
String.
Yes, it can convert anything into a string. So this is OBJ, and OBJ6 is a string, right? And okay, let me show you something. So if I say and converting to string and converting it back to object, so that both things are supported over here. So you can convert it to string and you can convert it back to the object by saying parse. Stringify, parse. So stringify and parse. You can see that now we have A56 be true and C name truck. So and obj6, okay, I want to show you something with this method. So there are two methods: convert to string and convert it back to object. So you will get a cloned object, and I want to show you something that obj6.c.name. I'm changing the name here. Okay, I'm changing. Let's say, okay, so name truck and
Bus.
yeah, but thank you. Okay, so bus. Okay, and okay, so I wanted to show you something. So um, see, so here is it deep cloning or shallow cloning?
I think it's shallow cloning.
Uh, Deep cloning, right? We can see that nested object is also being cloned. Okay,
Oh, okay, okay, yeah, okay, complete.
you can see that nested object didn't change this time, but it changed last time in last two methods. So this is the third way to do things. Okay, so generally we do not use JSON for doing this kind of things. Okay, so you are very correct. So this is, but yeah, like it comes in handy. One thing we need to see here, guys, you can see there is one more property in obj which is missing in obj6. What is that property?
D.
T, a function.
Yes, function is missing. And as you said that it is used to share between client and server. Now suppose that I want to write a function, and that function, what it is doing is it is running an infinite loop. Okay, an infinite loop. Okay, so you can write a very easy infinite loop. How can we write an infinite loop?
While true.
Condition, condition.
Yes, while true and curly braces. That's it. Now, as we know that JSON is being shared to server. So let's say my system is a server and others is making request to me. Now he sent me a function which is basically a infinite loop, and I opened that file in my system, like, and my browser crashed. You can crash your browser now also. Okay, do it after the class. So you put a while loop true, that tab will hang. Let's say in a minute, okay, or before that also it will hang. I'm sure of that. So that is why JSON does not allow you to share method, and it will filter the methods when you do stringify. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay, so because the string are harmless in nature. Okay, so those are harmless. They do no harm, innocent type. So yeah, that is one thing. So these are the three ways we can clone an object. Although there is no perfect way to have a deep cloning, but these guys have came up with a method. Okay, like Mozilla, like they are coming with a method, like where people, we can do it the one more way. Can someone think of a method how can we can do deep cloning? Okay, You have to stop cloning when the base case is a primitive data type. Then you do not have to clone it. So you can put a base case as primitive data type. You can check type of the data type and you stop there. Elsewise, you continue to make your recursive call. So can I use recursion to do deep cloning? Yeah, I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that, right? So you can just check. So before you call your recursive function again, check the type of D. So it will say type of C. So it will say object. Again, make the recursive call and return the cloned object. You have all the methods with you. Put recursion and it will you will like successfully clone a. You can do a deep cloning successfully. So that can be possible. There's no issue. Otherwise, JSON pass and stringify is always here for rescue. All right. Now the next thing is how do we iterate over an object? Iterate is something very very important because like how do we come to know? Similarly, if you remember, hash map in Java is not iterable. How many of you remember that? We use set to iterate over the hash map. Set s is equals to hash map dot key set and you get the keys and you iterate over the hash map. Similarly, in objects, luckily in JavaScript we have some methods, although there are not much of the methods like in array. We have some methods over here. Okay, so we have some methods. So similarly, we are okay, so focusing on keys there and focusing on the keys here. So when we say, so we have the first way to do it is object dot keys. So dot keys object dot keys and obj, and you get all the keys over there. Okay, so you get a collection of keys over there. So the first way to iterate, you'll say how are we iterating? This is just returning the keys. What method we can use here, guys? It's an array.
Map.
Yes, I can use a map. So I can use a map definitely. Okay, I can say I can pass a callback over here. Let's say key and not keys, key, and I can say um, return and I know obj and I will say key. Okay, so yep, I got the values. Okay, so the first way to iterate is object dot key. Second way is object dot get own property names. Okay, get own property names obj get own property names. There's something weird. The weird thing is, why do we have own property names? Does the object share any other property name also? That is one question we need to answer, and we'll check it out. Okay, so when we study something called as prototype, we'll figure it out. Okay, so what do we mean by get on property names? But yeah, this is a one more way. Object dot keys and object dot get on property names. We get the keys and we can easily iterate over this and get the values. What's the third way? For in loop. So for in loop is the third one. So we can say for okay, where is for in loop? So for, and I can say let um, prop in obj, and I can say that not console dot log, say props, right? ABC. Oh, okay. So I can say that obj dot, or you can say object. So this is one more way to do this. So object.keys, object.get on property names, and the for in loop. So these are the three ways we can iterate. Do we have any other way? Okay. So difference between keys and get on property like property names. Okay. Let me put do it later. We'll discuss when we discuss about prototype. So do it later. Okay. So discuss that. Although we can just you can just have a look. Okay. So you can just go through mtn docs and you can check it out. There's not an issue. One last thing is object dot entries. Okay, so there's no object dot entries, and you can pass the obj in here. And I hope you have already guessed. So you have the keys, values, keys, values, keys, values, keys, values. So arrays of arrays with keys and values, keys and values. Well, yes. So this is what we have. So object dot entries. This is one good one. Okay, let me mention this also in the document. Object dot entries. Entries. Um, is the iteration part clear, guys? Any doubts till now?
No.
All right, let's proceed to the next one, which is there's something interesting happening with the objects, like array as an object. Let's see. The statement is something like, okay, we are going back to array. Yeah, for a bit. Let's see. So array, and we have empty. So let's fill it. So we have the filled up array, and have the array. There's something which we need to see over here is if I just okay, let me open it. If we see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now array 100 is equals to array 100 is equals to 78. What is the length of array now?
Array's length is 99, I guess.
Uh, Index is 100, so it
Oh,
should be,
okay. Index is 100, so there is only one value, right?
yeah,
101.
01.
yes. So 0 based indexing, so 0 to 100 means 101. All right. Now, here is the tricky part. Array dot string index equals to 89. What is the length of array? Okay. First of all, how is this possible? Second, what is the length of array? So these are the first question is how is this possible? This should throw an error way back. But yep, this is possible. And if this is possible, what is the length of array? So array dot length is still 101. Let me print the array. You can see that 1200 is here and a string index is also present. Okay, now the confusion begins is it means that till now whatever we were saying 1 2, those are also a string. Yes, those are also a string only. Those are not numbers. It was looking like those are numbers, but those are not numbers. Every one of them is a string. And this takes us to important thing is all the arrays are object in JavaScript, but not all the objects are array. It means that array is also an object. Yes, it is an object. Why? We have type of array as object. It's not an array, it's an object itself. So this is what I wanted to mention. Make sense, guys? Guys.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's a special subset of array with predefined methods. For example, length is there, map is there. So these are available only on arrays, not on object. But array is a subset of the object itself. That is why the keys are string in nature and values can be anything. Okay, but if the interviewer asks what is the maximum, what is the length of array, so you'll not say the last index, you will say the maximum integral index plus one. Are you guys getting the point? What is maximum integral index? What is the maximum integer index over here? 100, right? Yeah. So it is 100 plus 1. So the length is 100 plus 1. It doesn't matter how many indexes are there. Whatever be the maximum integral index, that is the length. It means that if something like this happens, if something like this happens, array dot a, not at, should be a equals to 90, this will share dot length as 0. Yes, it will have a it will have a length 0 even if there is a element inside it, even there is a property inside it, still the length is 0. Make sense, guys? Because
Why is it showing zero? I'm not clear on this.
okay, I will repeat the statement. The length of array is max integer index plus 1. So what is the maximum integer over here?
100.
Yes, so it is 100 plus 1. Okay. Now I created a new array. Okay, and I stored a equals to 90. What is the maximum integer index over here?
Yeah.
No,
Zero.
yeah, 0. No index is there. Index does not exist. No integer key is there. Are you getting the point?
Oh, okay, okay. Got it, got it, got it.
Okay. All right. Coming back. Okay. So array as an object, and this would. Did we discuss this question? Type of one.
Yeah, we have discussed.
Uh,
Regular string.
yeah. Okay. So this is a famous like I asked. So I used to take some interviews also way back, like last year. But yeah, array length is a max integral index. So I hope you guys have a point. Callback functions. So the functions which we do not directly call, we supply the complete function, and JavaScript calls those functions. Those are known as callback functions. The function which are based on an event, we call it callback. They will take a special place, okay, when we discuss it later. This brings us to something very interesting. We are going to see timing function. How many of you know about set timeout? What is set timeout? Okay, let's see this. Now, the name timing functions is that there's something related to time. Yes, it is related to time. Putting up a console over here. So console.log, time starts now. All right. First timing function is set timeout. It says that let's say I expect some delay. Let's say I expect some delay in running the function. So expecting delay in running the function means I have a function. The function is simply putting a console that console dot sorry. The function is simply putting a console that running after a delay or some delay, right? That should be the correct some delay. Running after some delay. So this is a function set a timeout. The first parameter is called as handler or callback. Okay, this is also callback. Okay, please do not confuse. Handler is also callback. Any function which you are not calling is we will call it a callback. Okay, so set timeout is a function which accepts a function as the first parameter, and the second parameter is the timeout. Timeout in milliseconds. So let's say 10,000 millisecond, which means 10 seconds. Okay, 1 second is equals to 1,000 milliseconds. So 10 seconds delay means this one. All right. So this is what we want to. So I want to do this with a delay. Let's see how this works. So it should be coming in sometime. Okay. So we can see that running after some delay. Did you guys see the delay?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is running after some delay. Now this function is set timeout, and we are just putting a console. So any function you supply over here will run after.
Why did the first line didn't print? I mean, like the time starts now, it didn't come out. Why?
Oh yeah, I just clear this console. I will just do it again. Okay, the time start. Okay, and
Okay, okay.
yeah, second will come like after some seconds. Okay, so this is after the delay. All right, second function, set interval, set interval, set interval, set interval, and the same again. Okay, similar. The signature is similar to the set timeout. Again, a callback over here. Okay, again a callback over here. Here we pass the interval. So let's pass the interval as 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds, and I will say console. Okay, uh, I will be running at a regular interval. As the name suggests, set interval. So there is an interval. Okay, let's find out. I'll be running at regular intervals. Again, third time, fourth time, fifth time. Okay, so the fifth time, and this is what. But this is not stopping. This one is stopped. Set timeout is stopped because set timeout is supposed to run only once, whereas set interval is supposed to run
Continuously.
yes with the provided interval. So this is what we have. So it is running continuously. Now say, sir, what kind of function is this which runs continuously? What happens if we do not want to do that? We have something for that
We
also.
can
Uh, okay. Anyone knows the solution?
break or something.
Clear interval.
Yes, we have something called as clear interval. Whereas the code needs some changes, so let's put the changes. So let set it timeout ID is equals to something like this. So and let me increase the time so I can demonstrate something. And let set set interval ID. So these both method return IDs, okay, which is basically a number, unique ID they return. Okay, this also return an ID. This also return an ID, and those IDs can be used to do the clear interval function. Okay, so I will just have a quick refresh. Okay, so I want to stop this interval, so I will say clear interval, and I will supply set interval ID, and I just hit it. So this rain for 6 time, it will not run again. Okay, so yeah, it is not running again. But yeah, the set timeout is running. We have the solution for set timeout also. So even now, if you want to like stop the timeout, so we have something called as clear timeout, and we have the id. So set time. Okay, what was the name of the. So okay, we are missing the t over here. So set timeout id. Set time. Okay, so set timeout id has been stopped, and it will never. Okay, it should not run again. Let's stop the clear interval also. So both have been stopped. So these are the two things we have: set timeout, clear timeout, set interval, clear interval. There is something called as set immediate. Okay, which we do not need to like. Okay, that is not required as of now. Okay, but okay, let's we can read about it. When we study Node.js, we'll study about what is set immediate. We'll create some project with help of set timeout and set interval, kind of alarm clock or something. But before we create an alarm clock, we need to learn one more thing, which we called as DOM. What is DOM?
Document object model. Usually where we write HTML code it it is in a form like it converts it into a like tree like model where it is easy for us to understand for the browser to read as well.
Okay, okay. Now, if we just go a little back and we remember why we were studying JavaScript. Now, why we started JavaScript? We said that HTML brings structure to our page, CSS bring formatting and styling to our page, and JavaScript brings,
Live to the web page.
yes, dynamicness in our page.
Interaction.
Very correct, very correct. So these are the things. Now, how to bring dynamicness? What we studied till now is more like a programming concept, how it is dealing with the page. We didn't write a single HTML code till now. Now it's time we write some HTML code, and let's deal with that. So let's start with dom.html. Okay, now we are going to write some HTML code. So here comes the first thing, which is div, and I have said I am a div or like something something. Let's say not this one. Okay, so now it's good. All right. So script bringing dynamicness needs some handling also. Now, how do we handle things? Okay, how do we handle the HTML code? So the first thing we are going to see is, and what do we mean by document object modeling? What is a document? That is the first question. Okay, what is a document first of all? So document is an object. Similarly, we just read about objects. So document is also an object, and if I print it, it is already, and it is a global object. Okay, document is a global object, and if I print the object, we see our complete page. It is referring to our complete HTML page. The document refers to our complete HTML page. It means that JavaScript is capable of pointing to a specific tag element or any code in our HTML page. We can modify anything apart from the structure. We can modify anything in our page with help of JavaScript. Like we have, it has modeled this tags into an object. Model the tags, the document into an object. That is why it is called as document dash object dash modeling, because JavaScript knows about object, and in order to deal with make the connection, we have something else. We have converted Programmers have converted the complete HTML code into a document object, and our object has dot property. It means that body is nested into the complete object. Yes, it is nested. That is why we are able to put document dot body and we get the body. It is the same as dealing with nested objects, the same with dealing as the nested tags. So the complete HTML we see is a document, and we call this complete one as a DOM tree. Whereas HTML is the root node, head and body are the child nodes, and moving on, the nodes, there are child to child, and finally we have some text, which is the leaf node. So this is how DOM will be working. Dot properties, and the document is the first object, the parent object, which refers to the complete document over here, complete HTML document over here. So I want to access this div. Okay, I want to access this div. How can I do this? Let's see. Just a second, guys. All right. So this is what the document we have. Now I just want to hit this div. How can I reach this? That is one question. Okay. First of all, this using this inspection tool, I go to the div, and I can see that this body has div. Now, similarly, you can say that, sir, can we do this document dot body dot div? Okay. But this is not like available for everything. Okay. Dot properties does not apply on everything. That is why. Okay. How can I reach this div, guys? Any guesses? How can I reach this div? Have you guys learned about document dot get element by ID or class
Yeah,
name?
Yeah, yeah. Get element by
yes.
ID. Yeah, we have been through that.
Light. Okay, so let's use this. Now, since we do not have an ID, we do not have a class, but we do have something.
Have a tag.
Yes, we have something called as tag, and we can directly say that document dot get element by tag name, and I can put a div over here. And as I see that it's a HTML collection. Now, collection means it does not mean a single node, so it is a collection of nodes. So that is why we have to go through something like this. Now I can see that I have successfully reached this div, and the puff, like what are the operations I can perform. So I can say dot. There's something called as inner HTML. So this is inner HTML. There's something called as inner text. So this is the inner text. HTML means all the HTML code inside the div, and text means just the text inside the tag. So this is how we go to element, and this is how we so these are properties are accessible over here. Even that we have the way to access style also. Okay, the style on this one, and even I can change the style. So I can say style dot font size equals to, let's say, 32 pixels. Okay, you can see that size has been increased. So this is done. All right, that's all for today. So we'll be completing DOM and we'll create our mini project, the clocks, in next session. So let us mark the attendance. So
So
we,
I have a question here. So creating a project means like we'll be working with you in the live session, or how does that work?
yeah, so we'll be creating a clock, and you guys will be like doing it on own end, and maybe we can create an alarm clock, or maybe we can create timer, stopwatch kind of thing. Okay.
Okay, then we'll be creating it with you. Okay, then that
Yes.
sounds
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
Yep. Yep. In the we'll do everything in the session itself. Okay.
Okay, then can we have a longer session if it's a project then next week?
Yeah, we'll at least have 1.5 hour and 1.5 for the both the days. Okay, so total of 3 hours
Okay,
it will be there next
okay, deal.
next.
Sounds good.
Okay,
Can someone share the link or mark my attendance?
attendance. It's there.
Thank you.
So pretty much like concepts will be so since we have reached a DOM, the next thing will be okay. It like all the concepts now are like will require some project. Okay, the fetch APIs, the event loops, everything whatever we do from now onwards, they will involve some live project kind of thing. Okay, and yeah, it will be good. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let's meet next week.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.